I found out my wife cheated on me with our neighbor, and I'm heartbroken. I'm writing this in hopes of gaining some clarity and perspective because I feel completely lost. My wife, Emily 31F, and I 33 have been married for 6 years, together for nearly a decade. We built a beautiful life together, or at least I thought we had. But everything came crashing down a few weeks ago when I discovered that she was cheating on me with our neighbor, Mark 30 It all started when I noticed some strange behavior from Emily. She began spending more time at home and acting distant. She would often be on her phone, laughing and texting late into the night. I tried to give her space, thinking it might be work-related stress. However, the more I observed her, the more uneasy I felt. My instincts kicked in, and I knew I needed to get to the bottom of it. One evening, I came home early from work, excited to surprise her with dinner. As I walked into the living room, I found her on the couch, deep in conversation on her phone. When I walked in, she quickly hung up and acted flustered. My heart sank as I sensed something was off. I pushed the thought away, trying to convince myself that I was just being paranoid. Over the next few weeks, things only got worse. I saw her talking to Mark more frequently, and it became harder to ignore my suspicions. One night, I decided to follow my gut and check her phone when she was asleep. I found a string of messages that shattered my heart into a million pieces. They were not just flirty, they were explicit, discussing their meetups and intimate moments. I couldn't believe it. The betrayal felt like a punch to the gut. When I confronted Emily the next day, she broke down in tears. She admitted to the affair and claimed it had been going on for several months. She told me that she felt lonely and neglected, and that Mark had been there for her. The words were like daggers. I felt completely crushed. I had no idea things had gotten that bad between us. The days that followed were a blur of pain and confusion. I felt angry, hurt, and betrayed. I kicked her out of our home, unable to bear the thought of sharing the space with someone who had shattered my trust. She went to stay with her parents, but I was left with a whirlwind of emotions. I started questioning everything about our relationship. I wondered if there were signs I had missed or if I had taken her for granted. I thought about all the good times we shared and how quickly everything had changed. I felt like I had lost not just my wife, but my best friend. As the days turned into weeks, I struggled to cope. I tried to reach out to friends for support, but I found it difficult to articulate my feelings. I felt embarrassed and ashamed that I had been so blindsided. Every time I saw Mark in the neighborhood, rage bubbled to the surface. He was someone I had always considered a friend, and now he was the face of my betrayal. One night, I made the decision to confront him. I wanted answers. I needed to know how he could do this to me, how he could betray not only me but also the trust of our entire community. When I showed up at his door, he seemed surprised, and when I told him why I was there, his expression turned to one of guilt. He apologized profusely, but insisted that Emily had pursued him first. Hearing him shift the blame onto her only made my blood boil. I wanted to scream and lash out, but instead, I just walked away, feeling defeated. I had lost both my wife and someone I thought I could trust, all in one fell swoop. In the weeks that followed, I focused on my work and tried to distract myself from the pain, but it was always there, lurking in the background. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Friends suggested therapy, and while I was hesitant at first, I finally decided to give it a shot. Talking to someone helped a little, but I still found it hard to process everything. Now, several weeks later, I still feel so lost. I'm torn between wanting to reconcile and the overwhelming hurt and anger I feel towards Emily. Part of me wants to give her a second chance, believing she can change and that our love can overcome this. But another part of me knows that trust has been broken and that it may never be the same again. As I write this, I'm still wrestling with my emotions. I wonder if I'm being naive by considering reconciliation, or if I'm just prolonging my own suffering. I'm also terrified of the idea of being alone, of losing the life we built together. So, I'm here to ask for advice. Should I try to work things out with Emily, or is it time to cut my losses and move on? How do I navigate these feelings of hurt and betrayal? Has anyone else been in a similar situation and found a way to heal? I really need some guidance on how to move forward.